Woody is a great gentleman, and he has done everything to put these all over America, and still is in progress of doing it. But without Lieutenant Colonel Dave Glassman, retired Marine Corps Colonel, it has been his project to bring this here. He has been a wonderful inspiration to all of us. Give it up for Dave Glassman, please. Yeah.
All right. He just had to do that introduction, like I need this with a Medal of Honor recipient amongst us. I'm really honored to be here. I don't normally speak in front of people that I really don't know, and I look out there and I see a few that I know, but this is a little bit out of my element, so if I appear to be a little bit nervous, it's because I am. Robert and Inez Reyes have been incredible hosts for us. I've only met Robert, now this is the second or third time. We came here with an ask to support this Gold Star Families Memorial Monument Initiative. He was all over it like Brown on Stink, you know what I'm saying? Then he started talking about you all. He must be drinking over here. He started talking about his clientele, his customer base, the folks that come here and support this establishment. And he was talking about it like it was some sort of cult or something. And I'm kind of blown away. You know, I really don't have, and I live 6 miles up the street here in Gulf Breeze, but I spend my life in Pensacola. I don't ever come east. I always go west. My job is in Pensacola. The Joint Ambulatory Care Center is out there on the west side of town. And I was very fortunate enough to be stationed with the Marines out there at NAS Pensacola for the last 5 years of my career. I'm a retired Marine. And I can't thank you all enough for being part of this. Who here is active duty? Raise your hand, please, and hold it up high. Active duty. Who's all my old-timer retirees? How many retirees we got?
Wow.
And I do mean old. Okay, that leaves the bigger section, right? Where are all the veterans? Those that have served their nation during a time of war, most of y'all. Yeah. Okay, the most important thing, the most important reason why we can do what we do. Where are the families, the dependents, the spouses, the grandmothers, the grandfathers? Where are y'all? You're all here, ain't you? You're looking at the single biggest mama's boy on the planet. If it wasn't for my mother, I would not be here. I was raised, yeah, literally. I was raised in a very, very nurturing environment. I'm very thankful for my mom. So much so that at the age of 54 years old, retired for 10 years now, my mother lives with me right now.
Good.
Give me that magazine, Dave. Give me that magazine. Some of you have seen this magazine around. This is not a paid political advertisement for this magazine, but Woody is on the cover, so I get to show it. Get a look at this magazine. My mom is the senior editor on this project. She puts her whole life into this magazine, and it's all for veterans. So I hope you take a look at it. Like I said, I spent 5 years as the XO of MATSIC 21 at NAS Pensacola. I'd be remiss if I didn't make mention of what took place on Friday, December 6th, the day before that day of infamy. I think it's appropriate to do a moment of silence for those 3 sailors that were killed, and I would say that they were murdered right there in NAS Pensacola. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence for our brothers that we lost on Friday the 6th. Thank you for that. I wanted to address the fact that while I'm over there, I'm very cognizant of what goes on over here at Hurlburt Eglin Air Force Base, now with 7 Special Forces over here. How many soft operators we got here? How many special operators are out there shooting and moving? We got anybody? That's because you're out shooting and moving. I want to thank, besides Robert Reyes, it's a tough name to say, and Stripes, I want to thank Humana. We got Elena Moody and Don Dorman here from Humana, who sponsored the TV and the raffle and the giveaway. They've been with Gold Star Family since we started this thing about a year or so ago. So thank you to Humana. And this is a paid political announcement. They are incredible resources for healthcare. Now, I got the best healthcare plan in the world. I know that because the Humana reps told me, TRICARE for life, stick with that. So as a retired guy, I don't say much other than, holy cow, I got some really good health insurance now that I've met these two incredibly smart women. But if you're out there and you're not covered by the federal government, you need to talk with Humana about what they do. And I can't thank you enough for supporting Gold Star families, guys. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I want to set the stage for bringing Woody up here. Woody delivered a 45 to, I don't know, maybe a 60-minute speech at WSRE on Public Broadcasting Network Wednesday evening when he first got in here. We get him off the plane, we wheel him up to the studio, and he blew the minds of 400 plus people in that studio. He asked, how much time do I have? We said 15 to 20 minutes. He took 45 minutes. You could hear a pin drop for 45 minutes of Woody telling us his stories. I know we're all moved in this room by his presence here. He's one of 71 living Medal of Honor recipients. He's the only Marine Medal of Honor recipient of all of World War II. He's the only Medal of Honor recipient that is alive from the Battle of Iwo Jima. I believe we had 27 medals at the Battle of Iwo Jima. There is one other Medal of Honor recipient from World War II that's still alive. Please tell me, remind me of his name.
Charles Coolidge.
Charles Coolidge, I'm remiss. 98 years old. Not in very good health from what I understand. Woody, however, at 96 years old, is like a teenager. I will tell you that after this incredible night at WSRE Studio, which, by the way, because of the AWKO law firm that sponsored it, will now be picked up for national rebroadcast on National Public Broadcasting, and we're really looking forward to that. The next night, we ran Woody through the gauntlet. We took him to a Marine Corps League dinner. He was the guest speaker there, blew everyone's mind. Today, he's done 3 or 4 events. Military Order of the Purple Heart, a lot of you are familiar with that organization. He blew all their minds in Pensacola today, and he's here to hang with you all tonight. So I can't thank you enough for being here, Woody. The reason he's here, and the reason you all are here, and the reason I'm getting your attention is because of this concept of paying tribute to the families. And that's why I said, where are all those dependents? When we lose a brother, when we lose a sister, the families are moving. They're struck with grief, and it changes their lives forever. We all know that. We've always known that. But as Woody has educated so many people on this national movement to bring these memorials to the different communities in our nation, there's never been a federal government or a national level movement to pay tribute to the families. And single-handedly, Woody Williams is changing that as of 2014, and he's going to talk more about that program on a national level. With us tonight, we have some Gold Star family members that have already been briefly introduced. 2005 was a particularly tough time for me, not nearly as tough for some as for some of the family members that are in this room tonight. Tim Spears and Ed Spears are here with us. On October 23rd, 2005, J.R. Spears was killed in action in Iraq. He was the first local casualty of the war in Iraq. Later that month, myself and my commanding officer, Colonel Caveman Holsworth, presented the American flag to Mr. Spears and his wife, Marie. Tim is standing here beside me, not to gain your sympathy. His brother Ed is sitting down there beside us, not to gain the sympathy. but to help Woody in the mission to draw this attention, to pay this tribute, to pay our respects on a national level. So I thank you, Tim and Ed, for being here and for your sacrifice. 2015, fast forward 10 years. Really bad year for a lot of us. We'll start with May 12th, 2015. Ashley Lukasavich is with us today, as she always is. And she lost her husband in a Marine Corps Huey in a place called Nepal. Many people have heard of Nepal. Yeah, probably everybody's heard of Nepal, but it's nowhere where you'd think we would lose a Marine or a crew of 6 Marines. Captain Dustin Lukasavich was on a humanitarian assistance mission helping the Nepalese population from a catastrophic earthquake. And we lost his Huey that night. Ashley told the story last night to the Marine Corps leads about how, in this case, the Marine Corps treated her right, treated her better than right, and she's very thankful for that. So thank you for being here, Ashley. Really appreciate it. August 26, 2015. Some of you might know this gentleman. Staff Sergeant Forrest Sibley. Talk about local hometown hero from this area. His mom, Susie, and sister Jordan are here with us. They joined us on the stage with WSRE. Jordan blew my mind as the sister. I didn't know she was going to be able to talk. She was incredibly professional. So when that TV program comes out on PBS, I just can't wait for this community to see Jordan shine and talk about how much her brother meant to this community and to her family. So thank you for being there the other night, Jordan. Thank you, Mom, for being here, Susie. September 2nd, 2015. We lost Shane Reardon. After 2 tours in Afghanistan, Miss Lynn? 2 tours in Afghanistan. You can imagine the horror that he went through, what he saw, what he did, the PTSD that he was prescribed, or that he was diagnosed with, and then prescribed. As many of you know, what he was prescribed to deal with that. One thing led to another, which led to another, which led to another. And unfortunately, he was found dead from those one thing leading to another, having to do with overprescribed medications for what I feel might be cured or fixed or addressed through other means. Happens every day, about 27 times a day. Okay? They use to kick around the word suicide a lot, but not all of them are suicides. And I know we all know that. I know I'm talking to a knowledgeable crowd here, so I won't get into it. So I want to thank the Gold Star family members for joining Woody in this national movement to draw attention to this effort of paying tribute and having these permanent and lasting memorials that are 14 feet long, 7 feet tall at their highest point, and 6 inches thick of solid granite brought in from the country of India, because this country doesn't offer that kind of granite. They're about $60,000 to bring them here, and then there's anywhere between $40,000 and $50,000 in engineering costs. We set benches around them, we put lighting on them, we do the right thing, and we make it a place for the families to come and be with their loved ones. And we make it a place so that folks like everyone in this room can go back to the next generation within their towns, their neighborhoods, their schools, and bring them to that memorial or that memorial park and learn about the concept of freedom isn't free and the service that's required to keep us free and the incredible sacrifice of the families that have to bear the burden of loss long after the fallen are gone. So I appreciate and thank you at the bottom of my heart for supporting this effort, telling your friends, buying a raffle ticket, going to GulfCoastGoldStarFamilies.org, reading the A Hero magazine, raising your awareness. Donate $1, donate $10, doesn't matter. This is a grassroots effort. And because of Woody, just in the last week, we've raised nearly $60,000 because of his senior year. My understanding is that the 300 raffle tickets for this badass TV that's up there are gone. So I can do some relatively simple math. Even though I'm a Marine, $20 times 300 is about $6,000 that you all raised. I'm making that assumption. So thank you all very much for that. It's a big contribution. And I think Woody's going to address this in his comments a little bit, but I want to say a little something about how much I love this community, even though it's to the east of where I live, and I rarely come down here, and I'm going to work on that, Robert. And that is that we called this the Gulf Coast Gold Star Families Memorial for a reason. This isn't the Pensacola Memorial. Yes, it's going in the Veterans Memorial Park of Pensacola, but it's an outreach to you all. And it's a signal to you all to say, if it's good there, it's good here. So as soon as we undedicate this thing on Memorial Day of 2020, let's get on with it. Let's make this happen. Woody, please join us in this stage and talk to these folks.
Yeah, I'll just hold it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for that nice warm welcome. We appreciate that. I like to sort of test to see if everybody's paying attention to my being up here. I'm so short, you might overlook me. 5'6". 5'6" and growing in direction. So, during World War II, someone developed a saying between Marines, a greeting, if you will, of greeting each other or expressing some gratitude for something that they did well and kind of glad that they did it and recognize it. Today, when we use the, that they're, whatever you call it sounds like I'm puking when I say it. But we had a greeting, instead of using the oorah, we had a greeting called gung-ho. It really came out of the China Marines, we called them, back during the Depression years. But Marines were in China, and a China Marine is one of the toughest individuals you've ever seen in your life. So they tell me that's where it came from, that they began greeting each other with this word of gung-ho. That means, that was the meaning of the word gung-ho. So when somebody would do something that we would be proud of their accomplishment, or we wanted to greet them just to say, instead of saying hello, we say gung-ho. And they would repeat back to us, gung-ho. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to say gung-ho. I want you to repeat back to me, gung-ho. Gung-ho. Can't hear you. Thank you. I have a motto on our foundation that is doing something that the country should have been doing many, many years ago. And that motto is, the cause is greater than I. And the cause of what is being done throughout the United States of America, to recognize the families that have sacrificed one of their own for you and me and all of America. That cause is greater than any one of us. The only reason I am permitted to stand before you and wear the medal that I have around my neck is not what I did particularly. It's what others did for me as a result of what I did. Had it not been for my commanding officer, 4 other Marines who witnessed what took place on that day that was a day of infamy in my life, that resulted in completely a changed life. But if it had not been for those 5 individuals, I would not be standing before you tonight. The recommendation for a Medal of Honor can only be recommended by an officer. I, as an enlisted person, cannot recommend another enlisted person to receive the Medal of Honor. In addition to that requirement, it is also required that there be at least 2 witnesses who will confirm or testify as to what took place at that moment in time that the commanding officer is going to use to make the recommendation. My commanding officer had a little short stubby pencil about that long. That's what he made his notes with. That's what he wrote his letters with. He would write out his letters to those families that lost a loved one and then give it to a Marine clerk to type up because he couldn't type. If he had not been willing to make that recommendation, then I would not be the president, would not be the privilege to wear the Medal of Honor. For years, I didn't realize after that day of February 23rd, 1945, which by chance was the same day that the flag went up on Mount Zuribachi. The flag was raised a little before noon. The action that I did was in the afternoon. One had no relationship to the other. We did know, as Marines on the island, that Old Glory was flying on Mount Zuribachi because it was a 4x6 flag and it could be seen from everywhere on the island. But it had nothing to do with what happened to me. Two Marines that day that I had selected, or my commanding officer had told me to select, to protect me while I was doing the training or doing the work that I'd been trained to do by other Marines. I didn't know until many years after that those two Marines had sacrificed their lives protecting mine. When I learned that that was a reality, this medal took on a completely different significance. Oh, I was extremely proud of it, extremely proud that my fellow Marines thought me worthy to even receive it. But when I realized, gained the knowledge that two Marines had died, perhaps making it even possible for me to live, it took on a different significance. So when I wear it, I don't wear it for the accomplishment that I did. I wear it in their honor. I still say over and over, I will wear it for them. It belongs to them. I keep it shined for them. When we first decided to do a memorial, We were a little selfish in West Virginia because on a memorial on our Capitol grounds, we have a Veterans Memorial. And on that memorial are 11,434 names of West Virginians who sacrificed their life while serving in the armed forces of our country in some manner. It really doesn't make any difference how that sacrifice happens. The grief is still the same. So whether that person sacrificed their life in combat, or in a training accident, or in an aircraft going down, makes no difference. They are still a Gold Star family member. For years in the United States, we did recognize and occasionally would hear the word, somebody would say, Gold Star Mother. But I worked for the VA for 33 years. And I dealt constantly with those people who lost loved ones because we didn't have all the facilities in my day, my early time with the VA, that we have today. The services were not available. VA was the only place you could go. And it had to be an office in that state. And that was the only place the families could go to receive the benefits that they were entitled to as a result of that loss. But in all those years, I would hear occasionally the term Gold Star Mother. But no one at any time ever said to me, Gold Star Dad. We don't know that. We do not know why. We don't understand why. But a father who lost a son in Afghanistan brought me around to reality because he told me that dads cry too. He was the survivor. Mom was already gone. And he was the person who got that knock upon the door. That really hit home with me because we had not done anything in our state to even mention, talk about, or pay tribute to anyone on that memorial on our Capitol grounds. But we weren't alone. No other state had either. We did the very first one in West Virginia, dedicated on October the 2nd, 2013. And selfishly, we thought we were done. We had done in West Virginia what we should have done a long time ago. And if it hadn't been for computers and internets, it may still be the only one in the country. We don't know that. But the son of a father who lost his life, sacrificed his life in Vietnam, saw it on the internet. And he realized, as being the son, a Gold Star son, that there were others in that community also. So he took on the role, raised the funds, and put the second one at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. It couldn't have been a more appropriate place. Then the word got down south, Clearwater, Florida. a boys' school, 250 teenage boys in a boys' school. One of those had lost his grandpa. So he went to the school officials and asked them if they could put up one of these memorials on that school grounds. And of course they said, well, sure, we have the ground for it, but we don't have any money. And the boy said, well, what if we raise the money? Well, if you raise the money, we'll do it. It took those two boys almost 2 years. But they washed cars, mowed lawns, sold T-shirts. I think maybe they even sold some lemonade. I don't know. But they raised $60,000, and that was number 3 in the United States of America. Then it continued to spread and grow. It doesn't make any difference where you're from. It doesn't make any difference the relationship of the person, because the grief is still there. Oh, we know that mom and dad and the wife and the children probably have a different grief than maybe a cousin or an uncle or maybe even grandpa or grandma, but it's still there. Today, throughout America, from Hawaii to California, from New York to Florida and Texas and many states in between, we're now in 42 states, 42 communities just like you folks. No different. You love America. You realize the sacrifices that have been made, but 42 states already have Gold Star family memorial monuments in their states. 63 other communities are in the process, just like they are right here in this community and in Pensacola. 58 of these have already been dedicated. We lack 6 states. They're all in the far north, Montana, Utah, that area. But we're going to get them. We're going to get them. We're not going to let them get away. Just like Pensacola, that memorial will represent this whole area of Gold Star families. Every community, that is true. In our little state of West Virginia, we right now have 7 communities where the people in those communities said, we want one of these to honor the families that live among us. 3 more are in the process, but the big one. And I'd like to see this, not for my part, but for their part. In April, we're going to put one on our Capitol grounds of the state of West Virginia that's going to be 2 times the size of anybody else's in the country. Our legislators decided that's what they wanted to do because we were number 1 in the country to ever have one. But there are other states that have already in the process. Kentucky just broke ground a few days ago. Louisiana already has one. Arkansas already has one on their Capitol grounds. There's no reason in the world why this state shouldn't have one on their Capitol grounds to represent every Gold Star family member in the whole state. Not just the community. Let me close with the challenge. There's somebody in this room that has enough influence and enough connections that a Gold Star Family Memorial can be placed in our nation's capital, which does not have one, indication and no recognition whatsoever of Gold Star family sacrifice. There needs to be one in our nation's capital that represents all Americans, all over. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. Thank you. You're very kind. You warmed my heart. Thank you.